What are they competing for here?
Well, they're competing to be the Quetzali champion. So obviously we're going to have this is the tribe qualifiers where every single tribe, including Quetzali today, gets to represent that tribe in the face-off stage where the tribe champions will face off against each other. So from there on, it's not going to be Quetzali like we have today. Then it's going to be Quetzali against Imperius. It's going to be Quetzali against maybe, Vengir. We'll see. So we're going to have different tribes play against each other. So we didn't really see Quetzali last year. So what would be cool this year is to see if we get some new tribes in these face-offs and hopefully in the World Championship.
Well, it's going to be led by one of these two. We get into the final. Let's not forget this is a best of 3. Neither of these players so far in the final stage of the knockout rounds has actually had to take a third game. Maybe they'll push each other to the brink, or maybe we'll have an utterly dominant champion. Either Justeeni Lingueeni or Viking the Cat will be crowned. Game 1, take me through it.
Well, Viking here finds 2 villages on his second turn. We're going to see what Justeeni finds here. Both spawning relatively close to each other. They have water access, both of them. Gets the org here on his capital, which is a decent opener. Again, when you're playing Quetzali, you have multiple ways of opening because you have so many resources. So you can go for hunting, you can go for organization. There are a lot of different angles to go into. Typically, the ones that pay off the most are org, then hunting, and then forestry onwards. But yeah, in terms of spawn here, just from this angle right here, Viking has a nice little push towards the east here. He's thinking, I'm curious to, he was probably being like, which one am I going to go for here? Goes for organization as well. Both players very fast. Now Justeeni is a little bit more choked in terms of his movement here, so he can only move north there and then along the coastline. So hopefully we will find some more land access that will push him a little bit more towards the center of the map. Viking has decided not to push anywhere near the north there and the northwest. But a great little explorer here. Obviously doesn't find Justeeni, but gets huge vision, huge information, which kind of tells him, okay, so Justeeni is either on the northwest or the northeast side. So he goes for that second, or not the second, but he goes for another warrior in his capital there, so he can probably start pushing towards the northwest. Looking at this, it's looking, if I'm being honest, it's going to be challenging for Justeeni here, simply due to the fact that he doesn't have the same amount of village access that fast and land access. But in terms of like access to each other, there is that 3-tile radius there where both players are going to be able to kind of fight each other. So there is going to be a lot of action most likely going on here. And I don't see Justeeni giving up fast. So he's most likely going to be thinking like, okay, it's either going to be a push towards mathematics and defense, or it's going to be like a fishing to go for a little bit of an expansion. And one thing, so he goes for fishing here. So I was actually thinking like either he goes for fishing or he goes for a similar opener, but he's a versatile player, so gets that nice upgrade there. And we might see him moving into hunting next, but just so he can kind of level up that city there and the other ones as well, so he can get the tier 3, get the stars. But both players meet each other here, and you can see Viking is positioning his warrior backwards, so it's not going forwards, and that's obviously because what is he going to do against the defender there? But picks up forestry here, so he can get some clean level up, level 3 level up here. And then one part that I wanted to comment on was the warrior there that is going to discover the lighthouse. Now, for the pro players, you probably understand why he's doing this, but for the newer players, one of the reasons why he would do this is also to prevent that ruin from being an explorer. And it's one of these mistakes that new beginner players make when it comes to taking the ruins. It's that if you have a fog near you, there is a possibility that that ruin could become an explorer, which would mean that in some cases it's kind of useless. So he's going to ensure that it doesn't become an explorer. Gets a swordsman here, so he's just mitigating, but it's going to be able to be adding some pressure there. Now, if we take a look at, obviously Justeeni there was able to expand on the water, which was very well played by him, and really, I would say, his only real play. Like, what else could he have done? He wouldn't, he's too far away to do a similar play as the first game, where he did the full attack with only 3 cities against a Liberateur. He needs to get some villages here. Because Viking the Cat is in a big lead here. Look at the stars, double almost the amount of stars.
He's aggressively picking up these newer villages and newer cities to try and extend that lead. And yeah, I mean, what does Justeeni do? Oh, well, that helps. What does Justeeni do here then? I mean, he doesn't see the giant, to be fair. So there's that.
Yeah. He's going to be able to see the giant very soon. Obviously, Justeeni's hoping that he can maybe rush and get the lighthouse. Most likely it's going to be stopped by that giant, because he could move his giant 1 tile back and then just hit him. But the fact that Justeeni discovered these villages is great for him here, and also because they have access to the water, and he's already got water access, which means that he's going to be able to get additional stars towards his capital when they all connect, giving him faster access towards Grand Bazaar here, because he's going to be up to 6 cities next turn, right? 6 cities, all he needs is roads to kind of get the Grand Bazaar. Maybe he'll find some other villages if he pushes further east. So now we're kind of evening out the playing field here. Both players are going to be able to dominate, Viking is going to dominate the south side of the map here, whereas Justeeni most likely will dominate the north side. If Viking is smart here, he actually skips the first rune and just keeps pushing until he finds a village to kind of lock that down, because that village is going to be control. He wants control, he wants access to produce more units, level up, hopefully get a giant there and have something to do on that side. But yeah, Justeeni now sees that, okay, he's got the giant there. And if Viking plays this well, he doesn't move his warrior, he just keeps it there. So that his giant can potentially hit. Yeah, he does. Well, actually, yeah. So he can still kill it.
Give me the odds then at this point. Give me the odds. Percentage-wise for each player at this stage, as you've seen it.
It's so 50-50 at this stage. It's really 50-50. Okay. I mean, like, obviously, Viking is now going to launch an attack north. He's going to push. This right here is great by Justeeni getting this vision. He does not... Okay, so there's most likely going to be a village there. He's probably going to move towards that, or onto the ruin there. So he wants to try and establish control. He's pretty confident he's going to get that 1 village in the tops, all the way north there. So he's not too worried about rushing that immediately. But then again, what have we always said about water access?
Very true. We have yet to see anyone stumble, really.
And yeah, and now Justeeni is faster onto the water than Viking, so he will have a little bit of a water advantage here, which was of course the only play that he could have done here, unless of course he wanted to be super slow with it. But that water access allowed him to quickly push.
Having said that, Viking did obviously face off against a player that had good water access and was able to fight that to a winning position against Cabanos in the semi-final. So frankly, I think Viking has shown that he knows very well where his limits are when it comes to water access and what needs to be done. So I would say, usually I would say it was a bigger deal than it is, to me at least, at this point in time. Like you say, he's going to have to defend against this push, and that's going to drain a couple more resources. What do you foresee happening on this western front?
Well, there's definitely going to be an attack by Viking here. Justeeni is then most likely going to either move his giant down, or he's going to move it onto the water and try and, you know, intercept those other villages, try and get those before Viking can hopefully make a move here. But yeah, Justeeni finds the village. Most likely this is going to go to Viking here. He does have climbing, so he knows he can't knock off that defender from the ruin. But what he can do is jump onto that village. Now, Justeeni does have 3 rafts here, which all turn into scouts, so he is in a position... I'm actually giving this to Justeeni. Justeeni, what he should do here is defend the push that is about to happen there in the south, and then he should next turn move into scouts to prevent Viking from getting that one village there, because Viking is for sure going to go for that village, and I don't think Viking sees his little ports.
No, I don't think so.
Village and the rafts, if I'm not mistaken. So Viking is going to go to that village thinking like, oh, I got this. But then what's going to happen is Justeeni is just going to knock him off there. So he's got 27 stars per turn, plus an extra 9 that he's banked. Unless, of course, he goes for some more units now. Which still leaves him with 30 plus stars. So he can easily go for scouts next turn. It's going to cost him, I think, 16 stars. Gets a swordsman, which is nice. And send his rider there. 2 tiles up. Oh, goes for the back. Okay, so this is one of these plays where, again, Viking played this very well. So Viking, you know, the cool thing about these pro players is that when you watch them play, you're expecting a player to do something, but then instead they're already like, oh wait, you know, because they're making similar predictions as we're making, and then some, even more, right? Even better. So Viking is like, well, he does have water access, so if I probably go onto that village with my rider, if he has 2 rafts, he can knock me off. You know, that's going through his mind. So he's instead like, okay, I'm just going to go for that one, secure it. And then instead, I'm going to go for the nice little explorer there. Does not get the lighthouse.
No.
But Viking here is now probably going to move towards the village with his defender. He should be able to get that unless Justeeni goes for... No, he doesn't. He's going to be able to get that village there. But then again, both players are going to be on 7 cities each. Right? So this is like... And both have good water access. You know, obviously Justeeni has a little bit more water access, more ports, more units to kind of move into the water with. So what I'm seeing long term is, you know, a little bit of a fight going on there in the south. But Justeeni's making it very hard with those defenders. You know, this is kind of what we've seen, right? Like, they are a defensive tribe. They do have the defenders, which is really good at holding off any attack. Because, you know, trading into those defenders is going to be costly. Obviously, Justeeni wouldn't be able to counter with anything as of now. But yeah, let's not forget. Justeeni is also not a stranger to Houdinis, right?
No.
So, so the fact that we see these Houdinis in these type of games is really cool, because a player who is, you know, at this level, most of the time they're able to predict and see, will I get Houdini'd? Obviously, for Liberator, he didn't see all the units that Justeeni had earlier game. It was a lack of vision, so it was a little bit unlucky for Liberator. And quite frankly, it was the only play that he could have made in that past game. But gets meditation here, and this is an interesting direction. So because he got meditation, he might be in a position to go for philosophy here. So the question is, does he want to hold off on sieging this village so he can then maybe go for philosophy next turn? Oh, he does. So he doesn't get that village. He's gonna hold off here. And it's looking like a game that might actually be very back and forth here.
It looks like it's going to be cagey. We're on turn 12 and Justeeni just got his first kill.
Yeah.
In dramatic, stark contrast to the Viking the Cat semi-final where there was 26, 27 kills a piece, really. So I think it does feel a lot cagier here.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, it's one of these games where, you know, like you're always trying to look for an opening here, always. And you know, from both players' perspectives here, you know, they have great vision. I mean, Justeeni sees basically the whole map except that little lighthouse there, unless he just got it. No, he didn't. So Justeeni sees practically the full map here. And yeah, Viking decides to go for trade here. He's going to want to boost his economy up. That's what he was counting towards. That's what he was saving. But both players, seven cities. And it's kind of like what I mentioned earlier on in the game. Justeeni is controlling the north. Viking is controlling the south. So this is one of these games where it's going to go on, and what we're going to see is we're going to see navy, we're going to see knights, we might even see some cloaks, and the question then is, who gets the first siege, the first push? I'm seeing right now, I'm thinking like either it's going to be a break on one of the sides, or it's going to be navy in the middle there with some bombers. Viking might try and siege this. No, he doesn't. You know, maybe he was watching the stream in Justeeni last game. He's like, oh no, he might Houdini me, you know. Because he didn't have access. He didn't
watching
see
the footage and everything.
Yeah. He didn't see the what's it called, the catapults in the back there. But yeah, Justeeni moves towards the rune here, gets sailing now, and he's gonna be able to, yeah, you know, he's one city away, 2 cities away from getting getting Grand Bazaar, so he's gonna have to move into roads for that. But Justeeni is now looking like launching his own attack, counter-attack. So Viking kind of started pressuring the top side there. And again, will he go for another Houdini? That is the question, right?
Let's see. I do think this game is going to be won and lost on the water here, personally. I just think they're so evenly matched. I mean, look at the stars, look at the score, look at everything. Look at the units, everything. I really think it's going to be won and lost on the water. And Justeeni obviously has the initial advantage there. We have seen Viking the Cat be able to manage that sort of those naval affairs very well. So it's a case of whether or not he'll be able to do that. But I would hope to see Justeeni start to take advantage of the fact that Viking perhaps can't see. Obviously, he doesn't know this, but perhaps can't see as much into the sea and will have to be predicting the naval capacities of Justeeni.
Yes. I mean, now Viking as well knows that he has, 2 catapults there, maybe even a third. So he's like, okay, there is no point in pushing this one village here, Ilex. Because even if I do, Justeeni's just gonna pop me off. And then if I get the siege, I have nothing more to kind of build on top of that. So even if he would get a siege there and he'd hold it maybe for 1 turn, Justeeni would knock him off the next turn. So yeah, it's a good move to go back here and kind of consolidate his troops. Viking the cat obviously got trade. He has mathematics, so his play here should be to try and focus on getting stars. You know, he recognized and realized that this is one of those games that might go on. So he's gonna do his best here to try and set himself up for a long term. And why did he go for the? Oh no, of course he had to. And then
I genuinely don't think I've ever heard you this like engrossed, maybe mildly confused, not confused, but like pensive in a game before that we've been casting. It just does seem like there's no. Oh, hello. As I said that, I was about to say there's no entry points, but here we go. He's found one.
Yeah, so this is going to be a lot of damage here. You know, that giant definitely did some damage there. And you know, one of the things when you're making a move like this, obviously you're forcing your opponent to respond here. So obviously Viking now has to be able to deal with this giant. He either has to move one of his defenders, I mean the catapult, he has to move that back, unless of course he wants to you know, do something. Yeah, look at that. So he gets the push there. Decides to go for the well played actually, because yes, he left the catapult, you know, full HP, but at the same time he's now kind of forcing the catapult to go back, because the defender can poke him, the warrior can poke him. He's got a giant there. He's got several giants following up here, so Viking is gonna have to go on the defensive, his only play. Justeeni now has kind of free access on the water, and despite having trade, very similar stars. Right? It's not like one player has, it's not like Viking has, you know, half more, you know, 10, 15, 20 more stars per turn. It's very equal, both at 7 cities. Justeeni does have a lead on units and has a lead on kills. So this is now, you know, moving more into Justeeni territory in terms of who is leading this current game. He's gonna knock him off there, go for that rune there, sets up his defender in the back, so, you know, if Justeeni decides to kind of poke him, he's gonna be able to, yeah, deal with that. But he's gonna let his defender poke him, his catapult, and again, the catapult, the defender can't kill the catapult, so, you know, really what he can do is just, you know, either try and bank a kill or move it back if Justeeni advances. But yeah, we're gonna see a big push on economy here by Viking, so he's probably gonna pop another trade, gets a giant here, which is good for him, so he's gonna be able to use that to kind of advance that forward and deal with the 4 giants that Justeeni has there, of which one of them is probably about to die any turn now. Yeah, he wants to kind of get an economy lead, it seems like. And, you know, from Justeeni's perspective, he can do several things here. He can keep pushing while also building his economy, or he can maybe try and push towards the other side there. But then again, even if he does, Viking does have defense there. So I think what you're saying as well with the water access is definitely going to make a big difference here. He is setting himself up to control that water access, and he can see the ports, he can see the line.
Diplomacy.
Okay, so diplomacy is really interesting. So he recognized that, okay, from this position right now, he doesn't really have anything in Tektal and Zokjuku, I think.
Yep.
That's not Sujuku. So those 2 cities, villages that are right next to the water there, he can freely do cloak pushes, cloak attacks. So he can either do a cloak towards one of these 2 cities, which is going to give him some nice level of distraction, or he can
By the way,
and
sorry,
send his
for a moment there, they are exactly the same on score, just to really hammer home the competitiveness of this.
Yeah.
They were both 6570 per second, now 6520, but my god.
Yeah. All right, gets free spirit. So, I mean, Viking now has meditation and free spirit. So he's very close to philosophy. He's very close to chivalry if he wants to go for either of those directions. It's going to be very cheap for him to lean into. So this is very good vision for Viking here. He's able to see a lot more on the water. What is going on? What does Justeeni have? Gets the lighthouse. Justeeni now sees that he got the lighthouse. And he's like, okay, well, you know, Justeeni probably knows that he's got a little bit more vision now, so my troops aren't that safe. But at the same time, Viking has a lot of options here, and to be honest, so does Justeeni. But it's two different directions, right? Like if you look at the technology choice of Justeeni here, going for diplomacy, and this is kind of cool, like seeing diplomacy action. So hopefully Justeeni gets to pop these cloaks. The only way that Viking can really counter them is with water access, because otherwise these cloaks have free access. Mm-hmm. But Viking sees
it'd be
them
nice
at the
to
same
see. We've seen one. The first one was last was today. Obviously, we haven't actually seen any cloaks pop, and we haven't seen them do it really impactfully. So that would be frankly, I've got my bingo card in front of me. That's the only thing we're missing here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's a push.
Look at this push from Justeeni. Look at this push. Justeeni is deciding to position his cloak on his capital there. And I think Justeeni could have played that a little bit differently. I think what he could have done is actually he should have moved his scout first away from the port to maybe give Viking the thought of like maybe he moved it into the ocean. Right, because he moved his cloak before he moved his scout. So now Viking knows that it's not on the ocean. He knows that he moved it, towards his capital. Either way, Viking now needs to think, okay, how am I going to defend against this huge push by Justeeni? 3 defenders in the front. Mm-hmm. He's got the
it's great formation,
3 giants.
Sort of as ideal, as picturesque as you can get.
Uh-huh. So nice formation there. Is going to try and break through that line there. And I think, now that he's got chivalry, obviously Justeeni has full vision. So he's going to be able to predict and see that coming. But what Viking probably is hoping for here is a knight chain onto those catapults, maybe onto the scout there. Again, that's going to be 2-3 turns away though. Maybe even... I would say probably 2. But yeah, gets a knight in the back there. And Viking really needs to get his defense there because he can't get a cloak. If a cloak connects, it's going to be very, very hard for Viking to defend. And like these players are smart. They're probably going to go for, now that Justeeni knows that Viking has the knight here, he's probably going to go for archery as soon as that cloak connects, right? So he's got 2 big, 3 giants, 2 cloaks on standby here. So one of these cloaks is likely to connect next turn unless he can get 3 giants defending that. Mm-hmm. And I think the path for... Oh yeah, it goes for navigation here. But the path for Justeeni is to somehow try and hit the giant and kill the giant using a scout so that the cloak can then go onto that tile and then pop on the capital. Yeah, this is going to be a tough defense for Viking here.
It's very nice play. Very, very nice play. I have to say, it's been incredibly cagey, and it's just been a slow, inexorable push. A slog, if ever I've seen one. Oh my god, that's a lot of cloaks for Justeeni Lingueeni. Again, both these players playing very fast, very well, and it does feel like it's one of those that is just gonna... It's a matter of inches, not meters of territory they're going to be taking. But we do see, of course, the siege take place, and obviously Viking will have a response to that. I don't think either... I mean, I think we'd call these evenly matched, wouldn't you? skill-wise.
It was a very, I mean, yeah, it's a very skill-wise, a very even match. Different playing styles, though. Like, if you look at Viking, he went for economy, whereas Justeeni, he went for ocean and full offense. He's like, no, I'm gonna, you know, because he had full vision, so he saw that Viking was going for trade. He saw that he was, you know, moving into that, which then, of course, gave Justeeni the option to be like, okay, well, I see him doing that. If I can now find an opening to somehow pop a cloak, I'd be in a good position. But
well, I think that's what he's setting up here, to be honest. I think he's trying to clear the way, whittle out as many of these units as possible. He's got, well, how many cloaks is that he's got behind the scenes? I mean, he's got 4, I think?
Four cloaks, yeah.
That's going to be his play. Where do you think he's going to aim for?
Well, he's going to definitely go for his capital. And you know, like, right now, Viking has to set up a defense there unless... Because if he doesn't, that cloak is going to connect. So he needs to move his giant there. And if he doesn't deal with those defenders, then, you know, Justeeni can move one defender back, one giant back, and pop a cloak. But then again, even if he does, if you look at the movement or the placement of units for Viking here, look at where he positioned all his troops. He's got a rider, like giant. There are not... So when you pop a cloak, you'll get a lot of cloaks, but only if there are space available for those cloaks to spawn, right? And they can only spawn in the borders of the village. So if there's very little space, Justeeni, yes, he's going to be able to pop his cloak off here, but he's not going to spawn that many. So yeah, he's gonna pop a cloak here, and it's probably going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 cloaks, if I'm not mistaken, unless of course he decides to move his units back. Just need to recognize this, and he's probably considering, do I move my giants back or not? But this is huge, though. He's got 2 big bombers there. I mean, this is insane. Look at that pressure that is going on here. Viking is going to have a very hard time defending this, because he's going to be, you know, minus... yes, he's in the economic lead, but at the same time, pops a cloak. Yeah, it's going to pop.
Here we go. Oh, he does like teasing us, doesn't he?
Yeah, and look, he's moving his giant back just so more of these cloaks can spawn.
Yeah, he's going to be funneling them in constantly.
But
now,
again,
we are, just to let you know, we are around 30 minutes in. Once again, if the game does go to an hour, it goes to a judge's decision. There we go. Oh, well, gets the lighthouse.
And he gets the lighthouse, yeah. So now he's got the Eye of God as well, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he got the
yeah, I believe so.
The south... Yeah, he did get the southeast. Look at these cloaks. But again, like, he needs to go for archery here, otherwise the cloaks can be one-tapped by the knight. Alternatively, he's gonna go for a well, you can just hit the rider, hit with the riders as well. But yeah, I think he's trying to do his best to defend against knights as well. So like, if you look at the positioning here, how he moved his units, he moved his giant back, his catapult in between there. Like, the movement there is very well. And while that is happening, he's also trying to make sure that Viking can't really do much on the ocean. Doesn't even decide to go for the kills, just decides to put them at 2 HP. Rendering them really useless. Like, these defenders, the rafts, are not going to do much right now. And Viking has a lot of pressure going on right now. He's got huge water, you know, Justeeni has huge water access. He's got cloaks. He's constantly pressuring him. And despite, again, Viking having the economic lead, that water axis is just too big for Viking right now. One of the things that we might see here, though, is these cloaks connecting to his other villages towards the...
If I might be so bold,
there.
I am of the opinion that this was a feint. I think that he's put all the pressure on the capital, and then he's going to start to go after the... Oh, very nice chain there. He's going to start to go after the other villages. The other cities.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is absolutely would be a very good play from Justeeni here. Like, you know, pressuring the capital, forcing Viking to allocate a lot of resources there. Because, I mean, you got the 2 bombers in the back. You have, and it's very interesting to see him go for, yeah, still though, very interesting to see him go for a catapult because, oh, okay, that's nice. That's well played. So cleans up that attack, and this is like, you know, Viking is holding his line very well here. I mean, you know, when looking and spectating games like this, what is so fun is that there are so many different directions that the game can go into, right? You can go into, well, again, it's really limitless in a sense, like the amount of units, the amount of tiles. But yeah, Viking here is going to try and lock down his own Eye of the God. Justeeni could very easily just block him. Probably even just kill that if he wants to. So, you know, I'm looking at this, and for Justeeni, resigns. Did I read that correct?
Viking the cat wins.
Justeeni
Lingueeni resigns.
Can we get a confirmation on that?
Yeah, we'll have a little confirmation because that seemed like it was going to go a little bit longer. For right now, tentatively, it does look like Justeeni resigns and Viking the cat takes the first win. We're going to wait for confirmation because, you know, I don't want to be the guy that calls it wrong. But man, well, in the meantime, give me your take on that game.
Well, if it is correct that Justeeni did resign there, obviously, you know, the thing that separates really like top 0.1% Polytopia players from the rest is that they're able to predict a lot further into the future.
Yes.
And they're able to see like, okay, this game is going to go on, this is going to happen. Like, it was very, very equal. Like, yes, Justeeni did have the water axis, but if he did resign, he probably recognized that water axis is not going to win me any villages, you know, like, yes, I'll control it, but it's just going to be a stalemate. And then if then at the same time Viking is able to hold off those villages, then you know, what can Justeeni do?
He does have the economic
it's just going to be 7-7.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's gonna try and then sort of have that grinding one. Well, again, we're getting that confirmation now, so we'll see what's said, but it's like you say, these players are thinking 5, 6, 7, 8 turns ahead of us. So a surprise to us may be a given for these guys. What we can say is this is Justeeni Lingueeni's potentially his first loss, or at least it's someone's first loss. And at the same time, what a match. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. There's nothing else here. Justeeni Lingueeni resigns, Viking the cat takes the first win in an incredibly cagey match. I mean,
yeah.
Can you make sense of that?
Well, I mean, I get it from one side.
Okay. Okay.
You know, again, like, these players are way better than me. I'm a very good Polytopia player, but I'm not top 0.1% in the world, right? And so there is a skill gap here, and when there is a level of skill gap, like, there are things that these players see that I don't. And then when you're looking at this in hindsight and obviously seeing both perspectives, you're able to be like, okay, I can see why they did that. You understand it because you see both perspectives, you see so much more. But truth of the matter is these players just have so much more experience and they've played thousands of games. And with thousands of games, they've probably been in a situation like this before against an equally strong opponent, and they've recognized like, okay, I'm in this position, my opponent is in this position, it's just gonna, you know, 9 out of 10 times it's gonna end up like this.
Yeah.
Right? And I think this is what Justeeni recognized and realized here, and that's why he decided to resign, because he just didn't see
Absolutely.
a
way to victory.
very clear opening and a victory, and it would have dragged on.
And I'll say there is some benefit to calling it early, right? The benefit being you're not fighting this losing position constantly, you're not fighting an uphill battle. Instead, you take the loss, you refresh, and you go for it. Now, we've only seen one sweep in the entirety of the finals. One sweep. And frankly, every other time it's not been that 1-2-0, it's been a reverse sweep. So let's see if Justeeni can join those odds. Maybe Viking the Cat will be crowned at the end of this. We may be in the final game of a very, very dominant Viking the Cat performance. But take me through the opening.
Yes. Well, opening-wise here, you got both players water access, which is good. Justeeni a little bit unlucky there with the fact that he got cut off by the water, but at the same time, it could be an advantage considering that he could move towards the ocean and the water there. You know, gets organization, sees some farm, and it's been a while since we've actually seen some farms going on here on the map. I'm not gonna lie, I can't say I've seen it at all today, but yeah. Finds 3 villages here. So both players are in, I would say, pretty decent positions spawn-wise. You know, I don't see anyone being cut off from anything.
So it depends where the other villages are, but it does look to be somewhat even at the moment.
Yeah, from this opening position, it does seem to be somewhat even. And, you know, what's going to be curious here to see is, well, gets to explore here, so...
Interesting. Okay. Well, I think it's definitely going to be a water game.
Yeah, it's looking like a water game. So Justeeni now realized, like, okay, I got this whole chunk of land to myself, basically, but he's probably like, okay, I need to now expand towards the water. So we're probably going to see faster water access from Justeeni here. Maybe as well from Viking, if I'm being honest. Like, both of these players are very, you know, very restricted when it comes to water. So it's actually kind of nice to see that, you know, you take a look at Viking here. He doesn't really have any more movement, any places he can go. 3 villages. There's probably going to be a village in the back there, close to that lighthouse, which is going to put both players at 4 villages. Well, there we go. Justeeni finds his 5th village. So that's actually kind of nice. And, you know, now, obviously, when it comes to economy, the economics of this, you have the hunting, forestry, then that's it. And then obviously you can move into sawmill. But we're most likely, we're most likely going into water, to the ocean. You know, you're gonna have these 2 warriors on each side expanding across these borders here. Viking is deciding to go for an additional warrior to support that one. What's going to be interesting to see here is who gets on the water first. Who do you think is going to go on the water first, Late?
I am personally going for Justeeni Lingueeni. I think he's a true Navy man at heart. I think he's going to hit the water. In fact, I'm willing to bet another house plant on it.
Okay. I'm not going to take you up against that bet because I think he's also going to be first. I think he... Unless Viking
I think we're in for a cagey game.
Here.
Realistically, we're in for a cagey game. I think both these players are going to end up on the water given the map. It's been a while since we've had a map like this that has almost not just encouraged, but in my opinion, essentially forced both players to take a naval approach, right? I mean, I can't see any other way for either of these players, right? Surely. Unless I'm missing something.
Well, I mean, you take a look at this now. I mean, Justeeni, he got a nice little rune there earlier. He got climbing, gets the swordsman here. So he's gotten 2 runes so far. He's going to find find the lighthouse. Going for an explorer would be the nice play here. Yeah, there we go. So he's gonna get some vision here, see if there's a village nearby. He goes for the population growth. And there he goes, meets Quetzali, meets Viking here. So now he's like, okay, so Viking is gonna get that one village that's down there. And you know, Justeeni is gonna be able to move towards the northwest a lot faster here. He's definitely gonna get that village before Viking does. Well, no, I take that back. I'm sorry, I didn't realize Viking was that close. Okay. So this is interesting. Yeah, okay, so Justeeni is now leading in terms of villages, but Viking is quickly gonna catch up. So he's most likely gonna get the village in the south there, faster. He's gonna get that. He's gonna get the north village that is right next to his lighthouse, and he's also gonna get the northwest village. And Justeeni might actually go for the rune though, once you realize that Viking is gonna go for that village there. I think the only way that he can maybe cut him off is by going for a rammer or a scout, trying to like hit that warrior that is about to step onto that village, but it might be a tad too expensive. But yeah, I mean, Justeeni does have the lead in terms of stars. He does have the lead in terms of points. Question is, will he be able to sustain that? That is the real question.
Again, it's really hard to bet against Justeeni. Even though technically I already have, when at the start of the show I said that I thought Viking the Cat was going to go all the way. So there is that. At the same time, I do think Justeeni's going to hit the water faster, and I do think that he's going to use that advantage. We've seen him take the water very quickly every single time. But he seems a little bit, I don't want to say unsure, but it feels like he has a lot of options that he's exploring.
Absolutely. And you know, like, I'm a caster here, so I have to remain, you know, professional. But at the same time, if I were Justeeni too, you know, as being, you know, having a YouTube brand, being a Polytopia YouTuber,
right?
I honestly wouldn't be that surprised that Justeeni is flexing his skills. He's like, yeah, guys, I just made it to the finals of Quetzali here. Yeah. I'm actually gonna qualify with another tribe, you know. It's something that I could do at least. I don't know. Maybe it says more about me than him, but not that I would be able to do it. But if I had that skill, I think that would be cool. But no, I think, you know, Justeeni here goes for the catapult. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this can be in range to literally unsiege, or not unsiege, but at least deal with the siege up north there. So that is actually very well played. Goes for the mathematics here, gets the catapult. Doing some chops here to get that second giant up and some more stars. And so now if you look at if you take a look at these catapults, where they're positioned, they're constantly going to be able to deny Viking from producing any units except, of course, defenders. But they're definitely going to make it hard for Viking to do stuff here and you know, get some kind of action, because these catapults are just going to pop his warriors. Which will, of course, give Justeeni Lingueeni the first kill. But yeah, we're most likely going to see an explorer here from Viking.
There we go.
Finds Justeeni, gets 11 stars, huge boost.
A lot.
And gets a lot of useful information.
And with that, it's going to make the assumption about the map, I think.
Yeah. So this is definitely good information. Gets the second explorer here. Doesn't have fishing, so it's going to go around, but he does get the lighthouse. He was going to get that anyway. But sees the other catapult, and he's like, ugh, you know, I can't do much on that village there. But still very tied in terms of In terms of points, they're very, very equal. I mean, Viking has 3,000 more. A couple of turns ago, it was 2,000 to 4 for Justeeni. So Justeeni had 2,000 more points, but, you know, Viking is slowly catching up here. As he should. I mean, he does have the 6 cities. He does also have mathematics. They're very similar in terms of, you know, the type of technology that they have here. And, you know, oh, that's very nice for getting the stars there. So it gets the first 2 kills of the game.
Yep, and that catapult is just gonna pepper Ilix. The people of Ilix live and die by the grace of the catapult over there.
Yes. Poor population of Ilix, huh? 3 population for every baby born. There's another being.
There's a catapult hurling rocks, I think, as well. Phrase that.
Yeah.
Okay, nice give me the odds then. Give me your percentages.
Well, again, I'm like, you know, these games, because both of these players are so good. Honestly, they're really good. Like, so from this spot, you know, like, Justeeni can very easily get Catex. Viking doesn't really have an instant way to knock him off, because, like, even if he goes for a defender there, catapult plus the warrior is just gonna knock that off. Giant is too far away. He doesn't really have much. Viking again going for a not so aggressive opener, right? Like, what Justeeni invested 16 stars into catapults. Rightly so. I mean, I don't think it was a bad play at all. I think it was a decent play, especially the north one there. But the south one, towards the southeast there, he's also probably doing it because he's like, I don't want any like ports or stuff to happen there, right? But yeah, look at the stars here. So gets a second swordsman. That's a lot of, and then some stars. So this is where we're gonna see trade, and Justeeni is now gonna get a huge economy boost here. A little bit unlucky with that mountain placement. Otherwise, you could have gone for a nice, you know, nice trade spot there to kind of benefit from both. But yeah, gets a nice little trade boost here, some economy going, and that's going to allow him to set himself up for the long term, set himself up for the long game. Where now he's like, okay, I have these trades, you know, I've got my sort of fundamentals here. I've set myself up. What is the next play? And we go for fishing. And yeah, Justeeni was the first, so I'm happy I didn't bet against you there, by the way.
There you go. I'd have had another plan.
Yeah. I'd have to ship the one back. You just shipped it.
Just immediately.
It's like, return, you know.
You never did give the odds, though. You never gave the percentages.
Yeah, well, I was gonna go for 50-50, okay. But now I'm slightly going more towards Justeeni. But then again, like, I don't think I would have gone for Justeeni at this point if he didn't have trade. But yeah, both players are gonna have trade
and
now.
Trade, nice. For me, it's that catapult over in the east. It just eliminates an entire village worth of troops. And when we get into like these higher unit counts, I really think that's gonna matter. And I think that just, again, having that access over the water, not being able to get onto the water, and not being able to even build any units in the east, I think is a problem. Okay, and we do see that obviously the west is falling.
Yeah, so at this stage right now, leaning towards Justeeni, and again, he's most likely because he's going to be able to acquire both of those villages. Catapult in the back, giant 2 rafts that can turn into anything. Scout slash rammers. And he has no defense, no support there. So yeah, those 2 cities are going to be lost, which puts Justeeni in the lead in terms of cities. Yes, Viking does have the economic advantage, but if he's not able to kind of deal with that, you know, pushes from both sides, because as soon as Justeeni gets all of the northeast and the northwest and the south you know, he's going to be able to kind of flank and squeeze Viking further in. So Viking needs to do something here. I think he's gonna go for a, okay. Yeah, so he's just gonna make it a little bit harder for Justeeni to siege here. Slow him down by a couple of turns. Hopefully he's trying to move down, and he recognizes that, you know, I can't give Justeeni the village advantage here, because as soon as Viking gives away that village advantage and he loses that city, he's going to be in a much poorer position. So he wants to make sure that he keeps that one village. Obviously can't do much about the one all the way towards the northwest there, so he's going to lose that. He's going to send all his giants towards that village there. And he could also move his giant towards that rider there. He could even pop it with a scout if he wants to. Kind of eliminate that. So, look, I mean, look at the pressure here. He's got 4 giants lining up an attack towards that city. For Viking, even if he does get a giant there, he just doesn't have the supporting unit. So right now, he can't really go for it's not even worth going for a giant there.
No,
he can't do Houdini. He can't defend. You know, if he had a couple more units in the back there, he might have been able to do something. But this is going to be hard for Viking to defend. So if I were Viking right now, I'd probably, you know, you see that he has all these giants towards that south there. And he knows that in a couple of turns, an attack is going to launch from that direction. So if I'm him, I'm probably setting myself up to deal with that attack. Probably establishing a front line of units, maybe building some bombers in the back. So when Justeeni actually then, you know, captures that village eventually, and he then decides to launch, it's gonna set Viking up to launch a counterattack and maybe hold off those giants and take that village back. And I think this is going to be a very important city, because a lot of the action is going to happen there.
Absolutely. I think it's going to come down to this now. Whichever attacks, or at least whichever side stalls out first, I think it's going to be the ending to it.
So yeah, he can move his giant onto... no, I don't think he can. Maybe zone of control. I don't think he can move it onto the land there. So if you look at the positioning of that giant, it prevents Viking from... prevents Justeeni from launching a giant onto Tech L. But yeah, he gets a siege there. So again, like, Viking was not going to be able to defend that.
No, and yet he still put walls on it.
He did. He put the walls, and he even trained a defender there. So maybe he just wanted to slow down Justeeni a little bit by a turn or two.
It does make a trade, but Viking yet to kill a unit. Turn 16, yet to kill a unit.
Yeah. And this was a little bit expected considering the map layout. But yeah, taking a look at this, Justeeni's got 2 catapults, 3 catapults there now. So he's really making sure that he's getting a lot of control of the, you know, any type of push. There we go.
Very nice push there.
Yeah. He's gonna try and pop that giant. No, he's gonna weaken the rafts.
Interesting.
Make sure that these can't turn into bombers or anything else.
It's like you're saying, it's about timing, right? That was what you say, the sort of the dominant narrative last time. When is the time that you should push? And I think now we're starting to see Viking thinks this is the time. When the siege is in the east, he split his unit slightly. Let me push in with a show of force. He might have fewer units, and now we see a bridge, some roads. Okay, he definitely thinks now is the time, right? There's no two ways about it. He wins or loses off of this move here.
This is one of these moments in the game that can really shift the tide one way or the other, just like you said, Leif. And I think, you know, watching this right now, you have 2 very strong players battling it out. Justeeni has to win this if he wants to qualify with the Quetzali. Otherwise, the win is going to go to Viking, and we're going to have a 3 back-to-back sweep from Viking.
Yeah,
right? Which
very impressive indeed.
which really positions him as a Quetzali pro, well deserved. But yeah, Justeeni
So
goes
that's
for
a lot of
Bremen here, so
stars
he's trying to deal with these giants. He's gonna create some defense so that his riders can't hit those catapults in the back, which is the correct play here. You recognize that, oh, there is some access there now. And you know, like this is one of these connections where we might actually see, should this game go on, we might see some knights as well, utilizing that little bridge over there. So it does create an opening because there aren't really that many, if you think about it, kind of awkward knight spots, right? You can't really go for a knight on either side due to all these mountains that are in the way. So that bridge is kind of like the only way if we do see it happen. But from the spot here, it's looking more like it's going to be a battle on the navy. Obviously, Justeeni does have that swordsman.
Yeah, he does. It's this turn for me. It's this turn that'll cement whether or not I think Viking will be able to maintain a push. What does he do now? He takes navigation. He's going to get himself some bombers, but where does he deploy them? Because I think if he stalls here, I just don't see a way forwards. Through everything that Justeeni has set up, we'll have strongholds in the east and the west. We'll have a decent command of the ocean. It's going to be a tricky one.
No, it is going to be a tricky one. You know, like right now you have a very, very tight matchup, but at the same time, you know, Viking really needs to do something here, like you said, because 7-4, right, in terms of cities. Those 3 extra villages from Justeeni is going to make a huge difference in the long term. It's kind of like, you know, it's like math, right? Where it kind of scales exponentially at a certain point. Where those 3 units make such a big difference, like 3, 6, 9, 18. Literally, like there can be such a big difference in units. So it all comes down to the value trade. And it all comes down to how well these units are going to be able to trade, and if Viking can make a push here. So he's sending his units back. He recognizes that he's got rammers, he's got catapults in the back. He's going to try and deploy a line of defense here, using his giants sort of as shields to block his bombers, and prevent Justeeni from pushing with those rammers and with his giant. And of course, Justeeni's catapult is also slightly in danger due to his scouts and the fact that that Viking does have the bomber. So even if he does move his catapult next to, say, his giant there in the back, it would still be in range of a bomber, which would make it you know, a little bit scary for him.
That's big. That a lot of splash damage there.
It's a huge splash here.
I think we're starting to see the stalling of the attack.
Yeah, with his stars here, he could also move into bombers if he wants to. Obviously, it won't be the most clean bombers, just considering the fact that you know, even if you were to place one now, he could. What could he hit? He could hit the giant, do some splash damage onto those bombers in the back. But is it enough? I mean,
I think that there's not really much Viking can answer with, to be honest. Like, there's a push in the west. He's stalled out in the middle of the lake. Look at the difference in units. This game was always going to go 1-1. It just nothing in terms of mechanics or spawn or anything else like that informs me other than fate. You know, 2 of these players, both of them fast, aggressive players, don't really make mistakes. Both of them going undefeated in these knockout stages in the finals. Coming up against each other in the final, and you're telling me it's not going to go 1-1? There was no doubt. That is not to say that Viking is lost, to be clear, but it means that he does have an uphill battle in my mind, right?
Yeah, no, he definitely has an uphill battle here. Gets aquatism as well, so he's going to have a lot of defense now on the water. And I think, you know, when you have this amount of defense, Viking, what can you respond with here? Like, you can obviously do some damage, you can try and poke back, but over time, what's going to happen is, you know, these trades, unless Justeeni value trades somehow, he needs to get rid of these bombers, really. That's what he has to do.
Yeah.
He needs to get rid of these bombers somehow.
It's a good answer so far from Viking.
Very good.
But
poking him down.
Is it enough? He does have command of the center now, but I don't know that it's enough. I think there's a lot of squishy units around. And also there is that western front there. I think he's going to hold it off. But he needs Justeeni to make a mistake. That's what he does. He needs Justeeni to make a mistake. Where could you see a mistake coming? From either of these players, to be clear.
Well, I think the mistake from Justeeni here is to kind of throw away his units, position them in such a way so that the bombers can then hit them, you know, take out his catapults, kind of give Viking a momentum in either direction, right? Like, I mean, obviously, Justeeni now has a lot of pressure on the north. You know, he's got 2-3 catapults there. He's got a rammer, swordsman, 20 HP, 2 scouts. He's got another raft in the back there that could turn into a bomber or anything else that he wants to. So he's got a lot of pressure here. And you know, one of the things that Viking now has to do, he needs to defend from kind of 2 sides, really. Whereas, you know, because that southern city in Ilix right now, it's a zone of control. It really gives Justeeni a lot of control over the map. Like, if that city belonged to Viking, and Viking then had a little bit more, you know, units surrounding that, it would have been a lot closer. You know, obviously, we'd be looking at, you know, 5 cities, 5 to 6 cities. We'd be looking at, you know, maybe some pushback here, but the real threat right now is these bombers. Well, you know, we just saw that Justeeni got these bombers himself, and the big push that is currently happening. So siege, you know, is he gonna siege? He's got a giant there. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, if I'm Viking here, I'm probably like, oh, this is looking hard.
Yep.
This is This is very tough for Viking. I think he's like, I'm not sure if there's too much that I can do here. You know, and I think one of the things that was really well played by Justeeni early game was the positioning of those catapults, right? Especially that north side, he was able to kind of lock that down fast. As well as with Ilix. And this is also the power of early giants. Okay, so he's really pushing back here. He wants to go for the sweep. He really wants to go for the sweep.
Now, I mean, again, you're saying it can be tricky. He does obviously de-siege there.
Yeah, he does de-siege, but the question is, how long is he going to be able to keep this up, right? how long will he be able to keep that up? Because Justeeni, again, you know, 7 more stars per turn. 3 more cities. Justeeni needs, like, as soon as Justeeni is able to deal with those bombers somehow, because you got 4 bombers there. As soon as he's able to deal with those.
Well, I mean, look at next turn. Next turn, Justeeni is going to move his bomber into place. So it's a case of Viking desperately needs to keep investing in the water whilst also simultaneously rebuffing sort of the pressure in the west. So, I mean, I think Viking can do it. If anyone can, I think it is going to be him. But what would you? Where does he go from here? What does he need to focus on?
You know, like, I think he's looking for a mistake, if I'm being honest. Because this is, like, to me, this really looks like this is a game that is going to go to Justeeni. And I think what Viking is hoping for is a mistake from Justeeni. It's like, he's getting impatient, it's dragging on. And, you know, I think that if this was Justeeni, he'd probably resign from this position. Similar to what he did last game. Because he's like, yeah, I could drag it on, but, you know, at the same time, what are the odds, you know? At the same time, Viking is like, I don't, you know, there is still
there is a chance, you know, there is a chance.
Yeah.
And if you don't have to take it to a third game, like, if you think mentality-wise, you're like, okay, well, if I've already lost this one, and I've squared that away, why not go for it, you know? So that it does kind of go both ways. Whereas Justeeni, again, I think sometimes the smart thing to do is to call it. Again, we're not just talking about two robots playing Polytopia, right? There's the human behind it. And oftentimes people neglect 50% of the game. If you can play to the human, you never know. But 15 kills to 6 with this kind of income difference is huge.
Yeah.
Justeeni has been very economical with how they spend their troops and where they spend their troops, and it has forced Viking to make those sort of poor trades. You know, and once those rammers come in and take out those bombers, I think it's going to be an even trickier position.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really these bombers. And looking at this right now, you know, Viking can unsiege this. Can unsiege. But if he keeps, you know, doing this back and forth, because he's losing stars every single turn. For every siege, but then also Justeeni does not really have a lot of units to siege after this. So this was a good defense from Viking here. I think what's going to happen is Justeeni is setting up his knight here to kind of go in there, chain through somehow. Viking should be able to see it though. You know, he does have that knight in the back. So what we're going to see is his knight, Justeeni's knight is going to move up here. It's going to be able to chain 1, 2, maybe 3. Maybe he's going to get the bomber. It is unlikely though. You're looking at that giant there. 1, 2, 3. Oh, gets the catapult there. So this is the cool part, yeah. So Viking is just not giving up. He's fighting back. Justeeni, you know, overconfidence can also kind of like,
yeah, absolutely. We've seen it.
I'm winning this. He's gonna concede. I'm just gonna throw everything I have into this. I'm not gonna give him the option to concede here. But yeah, this is okay.
All right, let's see. Let's see what happens now. He is. He's gonna grab his own little giant there.
So he gets mining here. He wants to just keep producing giants. He's looking for ways to still stay in the game here. There is his giant. I mean his knight. Gets 1, 2 kills. 3 on kills. The bomber there. So that's actually very big for Justeeni. The fact that he got those. And he's most likely going to be able to deal with that giant if he wants to. But he could also go for the bomber in the back there. He's gonna kill that giant.
Gets a little bit of damage on the bomber, then upgrades the knight. Now, realistically, that bomber has nowhere to hide now. at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The Rammers will take it. The Knight will, maybe next turn. It's been Justeeni's game for a little while here. Look at the score. Look at the city count. It has been Justeeni's game for a little while. It's just how much can he push Viking, and how much damage can Viking do on the way down. Can he suddenly force a mistake that throws in? Because one mistake isn't going to do it. One mistake's going to bring you back to even. Then he's going to need another mistake. I don't see Justeeni doing that. I just don't.
No.
But to the point, we have had just over half of this game. Again, for those who maybe are just joining us now, this is a best of 3 with Viking the Cat having taken the first in this series of the game. Justeeni Lingueeni does look set to make it 1-1, which will take us to our final. If this game goes the full hour, because we do have an hour-long cap, then it is down to a judge's decision as to who goes through and wins. Yeah, I think we'll see basically now, in my mind. This is going to sound really pessimistic for you Viking lovers out there. It's a case of Justeeni versus the clock. Because look at the amount of kills, you know?
Yeah.
Nope, there we go. There we go.
Justeeni
Lingueeni. Now, I will say, I think that was the perfect time to resign. I think the Viking pushed it as far as it was possibly going to go. And to go beyond that point, again, I really, having played in these kind of competitive environments myself, fighting, there's nothing more demoralizing than fighting a losing battle to its conclusion. Being able to quit in your own terms and go, right, I've taken the loss, reset, move forwards is invaluable. But take me through your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I thought that was a, it looked like it was a close game for a better part of the beginning, right? Like you had, Justeeni with his villages, you had Viking with his villages, but then of course, the fact that Viking had those exposed villages at the edge of the map, he had, towards the south, east, he had the northwest, those 2 villages were so exposed. And the fact that Justeeni transitioned into the catapults, positioned those very nicely next to his next to the border there, and was able to knock those units and capture that village. And I think that was the shift in the game.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he was able to take both those border villages and also defend them is the key part. There was never any question in either of our minds, and I think either of the players' minds, that Viking the Cat was going to be able to take those villages back. And when you have that kind of disparity, it's difficult. And I will also say, Justeeni going far and beyond to position his troops perfectly. At the end there, we had, 23 kills to 11 or something along those lines. Double the amount of kills when you have almost double the amount of cities. It does start to get insurmountable. Was poking in all the right areas. Didn't overcommit in a single one. Made the play with the Knights. And this is the kind of, I don't want to call it, I think, ruthlessness that we've seen from Justeeni Lingueeni. Again, let's not forget, when against Le Liberateur in the semi-finals, didn't, in such a good spawned position, didn't even allow Le Liberateur a single ruin on its own, Didn't even allow that.
Yeah.
So now it's 1-1. What do you think?
No, I think it's those kind of plays that really make a difference here. You look at Justeeni and his gameplay, the fact that he was able to kind of in the beginning there, hold off, like you just said, with the ruin, and also now again with the villages. But yeah, final game.
Here we go. At the end of this, one of these two, Justeeni Lingueeni or Viking the Cat, will be crowned the king of Quetzali tribe and will be taking them forward potentially all the way to live in Stockholm. Both these players were undefeated. Both these players have now taken a game off each other. They have bled. Who can do the finishing blow? Let's find out. Take me through the starting position here.
Yeah, well, I find it cool to see, fishing as one of the first technology choices by Viking here. The fact that he did that, proves to show that, okay, well, he is close to the water. He's got 3 villages that are bordering the water, which means that he can easily place a couple of ports, and then he can easily go on to the water, expand, and of course get the port connections. It's going to allow him to level up a lot faster. We see an explorer here by Justeeni. This is nice. It's going to give him some good vision, including that lighthouse, which he which is very nice. So he's going to be up to 2 lighthouses very soon. One of the things when you're looking at spawn here is obviously expansion. So when you're playing Quetzali again, we have expansion, expansion, and in the right direction nonetheless. So Justeeni's going to be able to get some nice upgrades here, get the extra 5 stars. He's going to be able to either go for an explorer or stars. He doesn't have climbing or anything, but yeah, so it goes for the workshop there. And I think honestly that was the correct play, just because he knows where Viking is, so he is feeling a bit safe. But yeah, we're gonna see the explorer from Viking here is gonna discover Justeeni. Is it gonna give him the lighthouse? No, it's not. So it's gonna kind of cut through the water there. But it's going to give some good information on Justeeni, like where he is. From this pot, yeah, we are looking at Justeeni capturing that village before Viking. So he's going to get control of that center village right in the middle there, which I think is an important village for both players to kind of control. And this is again where you see the power of Quetzali early game, right? Because right now you have a unit that can't really easily be knocked off. Like, Viking can hit that defender, it's not going to do much, you know? He can follow up with another warrior in the back, again, it's not going to be able to kill it. And this is why Quetzali is really cool when it comes to the positioning of the defender. Like, if you do position the defender correctly, it's going to make a big difference. So, 3-3 cities right now. Obviously, Viking does have the water axis from very early on here. He's going to be able to move a little bit more versatile, discover a little bit more land early on. And I think if he's able to lock down the south a little bit faster than Justeeni here, he's going to have an edge. But let's not forget about those riders that Justeeni has right now. So I think actually they coined this term. I'm not sure who it was, but they said there's many different ways you can say this, but leapfrogging, I don't know if you've heard about that before. It's where you essentially use one rider to do, get some movement, and then you use another rider to kind of follow up behind. So you kind of get double expansion per turn here. But yeah, gets a nice village. The boost of the push from the swordsman lets him discover that village. Moves into roads here. That's going to set him up to get some good population growth as soon as he starts connecting those roads. Goes for another explorer here just to see what he's working against. And now he kind of sees that, okay, Viking is very close to the water. He has a water axis. He's moving in sort of the opposite direction, really, than I am. He's moving south and then back out, which gives Linugeeni an opportunity to move north and around, right? So it's kind of like they're moving like yin and yang. I could put it like that. But yeah, this is looking a little bit better for Viking here, because he does get another village, which is also bordering the water. So he's going to be able to get that connection. And I'll have to double check after, but he did find that other village. I'm not sure if he does border the water as well, but if it did, then he'll have another city that borders the water. So he's going to get a lot of good vision there. Yeah, so it does border the water, and he's got a defender there as well. So Justeeni won't be able to easily knock him off, which is very good.
It's a very interesting map, this one. It's a very, very interesting one. One thing I will say is that, generally speaking, in these qualifiers, one thing that has come to light is that if one player loses to a certain unit or style, should we say, for example, you lose to units in the water, very often in the next game, that player then prioritizes that. So we'll see if that is something Viking, the cat, is going to be doing here. Obviously, with the naval, has to essentially focus on the naval here. But what's your take on this map in general? Because frankly, this is a bit of a different one for us.
It's a cool map. I think it's a very, very unique map as well. I mean, the fact that with the spawns, Viking, I think his early technology choice of going for fishing was the correct play here. And it's definitely paid off. I mean, look at all of these cities that are currently bordering the water. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities that he can capture bordering the water. And he's now getting very close to hopefully finding the lighthouse. Didn't go in that direction. But at the same time, we have all these villages that are bordering the water, right? So he's easily going to be able to pick up the Grand Bazaar without having to go for roads. And that is big. These type of, I would almost call it a little bit of luck, actually, to be honest. Because if you look at Justeeni's villages, he's got one city up there in the north that, in the middle there, that has water access. But what is he going to do? He can put a port there and place a bomber in the back. But, other than that, it's kind of useless. Whereas Viking, he has so much water access. So this is really going to be water access domination from Viking here. But Justeeni needs to think a little bit differently. He needs to think, okay, well, I'm not going to have that much water access. What can I do instead? How can I try and keep up with Viking here? Yeah, look at that. He's going to get this village. He's going to capture those 2 villages next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Grand Bazaar. Turn 11.
Yeah.
And
he's taken the advantages and he's running with them, it looks to me. Nice little explorer, get all of that good vision. Is it going to go all the way? It does.
Goes all the way.
Turn. Good stuff.
So, I try, because one of the things, I'm obviously new to casting. I've never done this before, so I'm trying to learn the ropes a little bit. But one of the things that I'm trying to be a little bit considerate about is not to kind of pick a player when I'm doing this casting stuff. But this right now in this position, I am favoring Viking.
Yeah.
Really, I'm favoring Viking here because I think that Viking is just in a position where he's able to control the water. He's got the scouts online. Points wise, it's equal, but in terms of map control, Viking has that right now. So I'm very curious to see if Justeeni is actually going to be able to do something here with his archers. He's got 3 archers in the center here. He's got a defender. He's got a rider. Can he do something? Question is, how will he respond to those giants there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say Viking the Cat was someone I tipped right at the start of the show, if you remember. So I'll take my congratulations from now, if that, of course, does end up happening. But having said that, Justeeni is incredibly good at positioning units, right? All the water access in the world is not useful if you can't actually use it. I mean, if you think about it, on the flip side, right? As we've just seen, Justeeni can and has in previous games positioned their own units to attempt to nullify the navy and then use that sort of land superiority to push through, which is mildly akin to what Viking did in his own game. So surely he's going to be aware of that and he's gonna plan for it. But what do you think Justeeni's thinking at this time? What do you think they're hoping to see from their opponent? What mistakes do you think he's planning to exploit?
Well, I think what Justeeni wants here is he obviously wants to find an access point through the middle there. By the way, great wall by Viking there. He knows, again, in a similar position to last game, he lost a very important village. But yeah, you can now see that he's got the port. I think one more port is going to give him Grand Bazaar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, one more port is going to give him Grand Bazaar. But if I'm Justeeni here, I really want to try and make a move in the middle. Somehow try and regain control of that north city, just so I have a little bit more equilibrium on the map, right? Where I now have, okay, I can place this line of units in one direction, and then, we can meet each other. And then, of course, what Justeeni can do if he wants, let's not forget, he could border growth to get access to the water there. He's got 3 villages that are in range to have water access as soon as he border growths them. Obviously, it's a, you know, I wouldn't say Justeeni's not a fan of border growths. It's just that obviously going for border growth delays your giants. Because so far he only has at one spot, you know, and whoop-was. So border growth there, yeah, wouldn't do much. But now he acquires this other village, his 6th city, and here he can make a move. The thing what Justeeni needs to do here is he needs to somehow try and hold off these units from advancing somehow. And I'm just looking at like what would his play be here? Because immediately I'm thinking like, yeah, so he goes for the border growth here, which is nice because now he's going to get access towards the water here, so he can play some ports when that time comes, and he's going to be able to send, you know, units from Yaxex, Wasix, and Tekil, and Yacho.
Like
actually,
a native, my friend. Didn't know you spoke Quetzali.
Yeah, been spending time in the jungle with him. No, but he's gonna now be able to get good access to the water here. So he's gonna be able to have a nice little pushback. Decent stars for Viking. It's gonna give him some options here, of course. What I'm looking for here is I really want to see some, you know, some water access from Justeeni before it gets too late. We have seen in the past that yes, it is possible to kind of come back from it, but Viking is, you know, no stranger to the late comebacks. So he kind of knows the strategy of what is the potential risk of allowing your opponent to also gain control of the ocean. So I'm very curious to see how he's going to be able to deal with Justeeni's water access when that time comes.
I think that time is now, to be honest. You're saying when that time comes. I'm looking at a lot of units on the sea. I think the time is now. We're going to have to see how he's going to react. I think a lot of catapults and archers are in the future.
Yeah, he's already got archery, so he's in a position to go in towards you know, forestry here, and then maybe mathematics. But you know, from this position, I think he's gonna want to try and move a little bit more onto the land here. And I, like, you know, one of the things that I mentioned earlier was I would try and focus on Chuel, so the north city there. Again, simply just because now he's going to be able to have a little bit more map control. If he doesn't, oh yeah, wants to go for the lighthouse, and he finds it, so that's good for Justeeni here. It's going to help him out a lot. So yeah, we're gonna see a Eye of God being placed here. Goes for the second giant, and he could now, oh yeah, moves it there. Okay. So he's probably now looking to do a push in the center of the map, but also setting himself up for a potential defense should his giant move forward. Because if you look at Vikings units, they're all the way south, right? Like there is a giant in the middle there, but his 3 giants are all the way in the south. He's got scouts that are very versatile, so they can move in a lot of areas. Okay, look at this.
Nice. Boom. Very nice.
That is big.
Oh, no. Justeeni. Now, I think it's fantastic for Viking. Again, clears out a couple of units there. And now with that bomber, can essentially protect his city perpetually. There can't be anything that's going to get close enough to do any of that damage. The scouts coming in and cleaning up. We're talking about the north. I mean, that's yeah, I just don't see how Justeeni can defend Yacho. At the same time, I don't see Justeeni. This is what it boils down to. Who can threaten who? In the current setup, Justeeni cannot threaten Viking. Viking can threaten Justeeni. Apart from that city in the south, I think that's going to be the difference here. Man, what a play, hey?
No. Yeah, no, that was a great play by Viking. I mean, the bomber took out three of his archers, one of his riders. Very good play by Viking there. And a lot of Justeeni's units are also down in the south, where again Viking has a defender in a village that has a wall. So it's not like it's going to be very easy to break through. But yeah, he's like, nah, I'm gonna hit that bomber. F you, like I don't like you. But yeah, so that archer is gonna die. But I look at the south and I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna be hard for Justeeni to break through there. And he decides to go for his own wall in the center there. And I think that's a good play by Justeeni, because if he loses that village, it's going to be very hard for him to really come back here. That is an important village, actually. It's kind of in the center of the map, of the water axis there. And it's a great spot for Justeeni to position his water units. He can kind of position them a little bit in the back, trying to protect them from any push right now. Obviously, the scouts are in range. So if Viking wants, he could pop some of these a little bit of health from that raft. I probably want to move my raft away here as well from that giant that Justeeni has there. But yeah, look at that bomber unit there. So he's really setting himself up to gain a lot of control on the water here. And one of the angles that we can see is that once you've established some decent water control, the next step is, of course, then to now I have the water, now let's build the land. And if your opponent hasn't advanced too much on land in the meantime, it's pretty much game over by that point, because now you have land and navy, as compared to only having land. So I think Justeeni is like, how am I gonna deal with this?
Yeah, well, it's not just Justeeni. I'll be honest, it's not just Justeeni thinking that. Great splash damage. It's also me, but there you go. I think this is how, frankly, moving the juggernauts in, peppering with the archers as much as possible. Again, Justeeni, fantastic at forcing favorable trades. This has been a characteristic of Justeeni since the very start. This is what we've always seen from Justeeni. So where he can get favorable trades, he absolutely will. It's whether or not they're available, really. It's Vikings' job to not make them available. Justeeni can't get them if they're not there at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that he just positioned both of these giants here makes it a little bit harder for Viking, because now, of course, he's got that raft. Justeeni has a raft in the water there, so that raft could potentially become very dangerous if he lets it live. He could position it on the fish, turn it into a bomber. He could position it a little bit back. He could, there's a lot of stuff that he could do later on. Obviously, he still probably has to go for scout here and sailing, so that he can actually end up in that position. Mm-hmm. But this is a distraction for Viking. He's creating a distraction, and Justeeni, like you said, very well was able to create those valuable trades, force Viking essentially to into that position and create a lot of that damage here. So let's see how Viking defends that. Goes for more bombers.
Interesting.
And this goes to show like how much he wants control of the water. He's like, I don't want these giants to live. I don't want these, to do anything.
Well, because that's his key to victory at the end of the day. That is 100% how he's going to win this game. If he doesn't control the water from such a dominant position, I'd go as far as to say he doesn't deserve to win the game either. So, I know it sounds harsh, but that is, if you're given that kind of... Oh, there we go!
Justeeni resigns.
The cat wins. Justeeni Lingueeni tumbles down, and Viking the cat does go 2-1. That is a phenomenal outcome for Viking the cat. Two incredibly skilled players. The Quetzali tribe, we have different tribe qualifiers. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to be seeing the Zabasi tribe, which, you know what? Give us a brief overview as to what we can expect from the Zabasi gameplay in 2 weeks' time.
Well, we've seen Zabasi a lot. Obviously, starting bonus, farming technology. When you're starting with farming, you have a tier 0 upgrade, right? So you're able to level up your capital on the first turn of the game, which gives you that nice little economic push. It's one of the stronger tribes, and simply again due to the fact that they start with a decent economic start, which is farming, which then can lead into windmills, which then can lead into some early giants. Compare and match that. Add on top of that the riders, roads, which is a very typical opener that you will see when players are using Zabasi here. So I definitely think this is a tribe that is going to hold up very well in the tribe face-offs.
Absolutely. Well, if you at home would like to prove it, the Zabasi qualifiers are going to be opening. Now, I want to be very clear, on the 28th of June is when we will be seeing the Zabasi. If you'd like to spend a little bit more time with us, then you can absolutely go ahead and pick up a ticket for the Grand Finals live in Stockholm. I hope you've enjoyed. Congratulations once again to Viking the Cat, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.